The real question is, how do you have a pluralistic society? How do we live together when we have no common moral framework, when we have so many different kind of moral frameworks? So let me say, first of all, how do we have a pluralistic society? I think we ought to start by pointing out, before I say here's where I think we ought to go, here's how I think we can get there, we ought to start by saying I'm not sure we ever have had a pluralistic society. I could be wrong, but I think on this one, I think Jonathan Haidt will probably agree or be largely sympathetic. Here's an arguable history of the country. For many years, I would say Protestant mainline denominations like the Episcopalian Church and the Presbyterian Church and the Methodist Church essentially dominated, it's their moral framework dominated the culture. And that moral framework essentially said, if you're a Protestant, you're okay. If you're Catholic, you're Jewish, you're kind of okay, but a little strange. And if you are an atheist or a secular person or a gay person, you know, you're beyond the pale. When Protestantism, the mainline churches started to go down in the 60s and 70s, there was a period in which white evangelical churches, the moral majority in particular, thought it could step into the breach and take over, and it would then be the cultural elite, and its moral framework would be the framework of the country. But it was an alarming experience for most of the country because the white evangelicals did not show, the moral majority did not show much more willingness to create a perspective diverse, truly pluralistic society in which people with deeply different moral visions could get along. There was no indication that if they did become the power elite that would have happened. Their attitude, again, toward people with non-traditional morality, people who had people of different religions, they showed almost no interest in that sort of thing. But in the last 10 years, I guess you could say the secular cultural left has become considerably more powerful, and in my estimation, they are acting exactly the way cultural elites have acted in the past, and that is we have a new set of orthodoxies, a new set of heresies, and we still, I mean, I've had people say to me, actually pretty accomplished people have said to me that a person with my particular view of morality in the future will not be able to get a government job, or at least they hope not. That any institution that has my particular view of morality would not be able to get accreditation to grant degrees and so forth. And so it does look to me like we actually have never had, and we don't seem to be about to have, what I'll call a truly pluralistic, perspective diverse society in which people of deeply different moral visions can speak respectfully to each other, believe and practice and express their particular understanding of things without being ostracized and marginalized, talk together respectfully. I'm not sure we've ever had it. And it doesn't look like we're on the way toward it at all. Miroslav Volf, in his great book, Exclusion and Embrace, says that there's 4 ways to exclude rather than open to somebody who's different than you. 4 ways to exclude them rather than be open to them. And he says the 4 ways are elimination, domination, assimilation, and abandonment. In elimination, you actually push the person out of your space, or you just get them out of here. I don't want you here. The second, domination, is to say you can be in my space as long as you take an inferior position. You don't live in the same neighborhoods, you don't have the same jobs. You can be here, but you have to have an inferior spot. Assimilation is, we'll accept you as long as you completely agree with us on everything important to us, as we define it. And abandonment is, I don't care about you. You may have needs, but I don't care. And those are all ways of pushing people out. The fact is that every cultural elite I know that we've had so far, including the ones that right now they're struggling. They're struggling. Cultural elites are struggling for who's in charge. Every one of them still looks like we're going to say, we want one moral framework to reign, and anyone who does not fit into that moral framework, we want you silenced. And that's the way it's always been, and that seems to be the way it's going to be. But I believe that Professor Haidt and I are here to say we would really like to have a pluralistic society, a truly pluralistic society.